Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I think that the theme of this session is connected to a central question in relation to whether we truly believe in our ability to make change or not. Our discussion and our debates in this country is no longer centered around whether it's halal or haram to participate and to vote. Now, our discussion is centered around whether it makes a difference or not. Because many people will tell you it doesn't make a difference to be engaged. So that's where our discussion is today. And that's the question that we need to answer. And in order for us to understand in order for us to answer this question, one of the things we need to understand, my brothers and sisters, that in order to make a change, we also have to know that it is a gradual and it's a cumulative process. It doesn't happen overnight. If you're expecting immediate results, it's not going to happen. So we have to invest in this process. We have to invest in this process. And if you look at the prophetical experiences, you will find that all of the prophets of Allah Azza wa Jal invested time and efforts. If you look at the recent example or the last example, which is the example of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it took him 23 years of work. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in 13 years in Mecca. Continue the mission. Let alone other examples like Nuh alayhi salatu wassalam. It took him 950 years. So the first thing we need to understand is that this process takes time. And unless we start today, we will start tomorrow from the point that we should have started the day before. In our case, maybe 10, 15 years ago. So this is the first thing to understand. Alhamdulillah, we're no longer talking about halal and haram. Alhamdulillah, now we're talking about whether it makes a difference or not. This is a legitimate discussion and a legitimate debate. Now, some might argue to discourage this discussion. Some might tell you, now look at the political atmosphere in this country. The rise of not only Trump, but Trumpism. The rise of Islamophobia. The rise of bigotry. The rise of racism. And the rise of white supremacy. The rise of anti-Semitism. Now, these are facts that we're living here in the US. So many will try to discourage. However, with challenges, opportunities arise. This is something that we need to understand. That when you're challenged with something, that opens an opportunity for you. And if you reflect on our own lives, it is about these challenges that we overcome. The reason why we go to school is because we want to ensure a better future. The reason why we send our children to school and, we have to put up as parents with them leaving early morning, like at 6 a.m. If you live in cold states like in Illinois here, I mean, if you don't have the wisdom, you would say, why am I torturing my children to go to school early on? But if you correctly understand the situation, you would say, okay, but I'm investing in their future. These are the challenges, these are the obstacles that they have to overcome in their lives. This is what our life. Same rule will apply to our participation and our engagement in this country. This is a constant struggle. You have to go against the odds. It is not a decision that we make to create problems. It's not a decision we make to face the racism in this country and bigotry. It's not a decision we make because these forces exist whether willingly or unwillingly, whether we like it or we don't like it. They will continue to exist. They will continue to challenge us. They will continue to try to marginalize us. They will continue to try to demonize us. That's not a decision that I make, but the decision that I can make is how to respond to this challenge. This is our challenge here. In his best known work, A Study of History, And after he examined the rise and the fall of 26 civilizations throughout the course of human history, the renowned British historian Arlen Twomey concluded that the civilizations out of the 26 that he studied, the civilizations that had risen, they risen because they were able to deliver a successful response to the challenges that they faced. And the civilizations that had fallen, they fell because they were unable to deliver a successful response. Again, takes us back to the fact that, challenges will continue to exist no matter what we do. How do we respond? That's where my choice is. That's where my choice is. And this is our task here in this country, is how do we respond to all of these challenges? Now, I look at it more of a motivation. As I said, challenges bring opportunities. Let's look at what happened after Donald Trump was elected. Many of us were expecting a doomsday. Many of us were expecting that Muslims will be deported, be concentrated, will be, put in jails and concentration camps. Many of us were worried that he will start, criminalizing our organizations. We were so worried, and we have all of the reasons to be worried. But look how we responded. Not only the Muslim community, but the United States, the American people, everyone, how people responded. Yes, there are these forces of evil, but there are the forces of goodness in this country. People responded. People responded by rejecting this bigotry, by rejecting racism, by rejecting fear that he tried to inject into our politics and into our lives in this country, because he went against everyone. Anyone that is different, he went after them. So we were able to build by default a broader alliance in this country to respond to this challenge. And that's one of the reasons why we were successful so far. If you, as the Sister Asmahan just mentioned, just in the past few years, we have hundreds of Muslims who ran and got elected for offices, local, state and federal offices in this country. Many of them assertive about their identity. A very recent example, an example that, I myself have maybe a personal feeling towards it. It's the daughter of our beloved brother, Dr. Osama Abuirshaid, our sister Abrar Umesh, who just won as a member at large in Fairfax County School Board. Our sister Abrar Umesh is from a Libyan descent. Yes, she's born, raised here, but she's a proud Muslim too. She wears hijab. It's no longer about Arnold Schwarzenegger telling us that be proud of who you are and be proud of your accent. No, we're proud also to be Muslims, and we're proud of who we are. We're proud as Muslims as well. We're proud as American Muslims. We don't accept to be excluded, and we don't accept the suggestion that we are not loyal to this country. Donald Trump brought an agenda to delegitimize what he considers to be the others in this country. Latinos are rapists and thugs. Muslims are not loyal. He comes and he signs the Muslim ban. There was this pushback. Again, there was this challenge that we were faced with, but there was also this pushback. This is what I care about, is how do we push back? How do we respond? My brothers and sisters, it is past due that our politicians hear from us. It is past due that we normalize our existence in this country and our issues. People need to hear not only about us, but from us. And I don't subscribe to the idea that it's good to have someone speaking for us. You need people to speak for us, but also we need to speak for ourselves. The problem is that we're always looking for this agent that will speak for us. Because if we continue to have this inferiority complex, then we will enable our opponents to marginalize us, to demonize us, and to keep us always on the defensive. This is something that we should not accept. We need to put our money and our vote where our issues are. But our issues are not only the foreign issues and the foreign causes. I'm a Palestinian. I'm very active for Palestine. Most of my time is invested in working for Palestine here in the US. Dr. Osama Abuirshaid is Libyan. He's very active for Libya. He invests a lot of time working for Libya. Part of the US Council of Muslim Organizations, the Secretary General, Brother Osama Jamal. I've been with him in many meetings. Meeting with the State Department, talking about issues like Kashmir, about the Uyghur Muslims, talking about the Rohingya, about Palestine, about Egypt. This is important. All of these issues are our issues. But also there are national issues, local issues that we have to be part of. We cannot distance ourselves from the discussion when it comes to reforming the healthcare sector. We cannot distance ourselves when it comes to the immigration reform, to the treatment of illegal immigrants or human beings at our southern borders. We cannot be absent when it comes to the discussion over the issue of equality in this country and racism. If we're not part of these discussions, then we cannot legitimize the other concerns that we have. Because again, we're excluding ourselves from this notion of citizenship, of being American. And being American is a choice also that we make. Because this is a right. It doesn't matter where you're born. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter whether you have a perfect English or not, or you have a good accent or not. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you believe that you're an American and you act as an American and you don't allow anyone to question your loyalty to this country. So this is what really matters. Again, I'll go back, I'll keep emphasizing that this is a choice that we make. I cannot decide for my opponents to stop their bigotry and their oppression. I cannot. But I can decide to continue to fight back, to speak truth to power. That's a decision that I can make. And as I said, we're not alone in this struggle. This is why we need to understand the country that we live in, to understand the culture that we live in. We need to understand the system of this country. If we don't understand the system, you will always come up with the wrong conclusions. And I hear people talking about impeachment and removal. They don't understand what impeachment is and what removal is. Oh, Trump was impeached, so he's removed. No, he's not removed. We still don't understand the basics when it comes to the system. Many of us who live here in this country, their knowledge of the system is as equal to those who live outside. They're getting the same information from the same source, from Al Jazeera or any other Arabic channel or any other channels. That doesn't help us a lot. I'm not saying that everyone needs to be an expert. But what I'm saying, everyone needs to have the basic understanding of the system. For us, many of us who are immigrants, who are first generation, who came to this country, migrated to this country, who didn't have the chance to learn the system of this country, to be at least able to facilitate for our children to understand the system, to be more engaged with the system, not to come with the wrong conclusions that many of us make because we don't understand the system. I'll conclude by saying that, when we talk about our power as a community, many of us tend to think that power is money and votes. Yeah, these are the two major components. Money and votes make a huge difference. But there is another component that we usually neglect, and that is knowledge. When you talk about Palestine or you talk about Libya, remember that you have a unique knowledge that experts in this country don't have. But when you present a personal story, it makes a huge difference. With the knowledge, with the know-how, with a personal story, it will change a lot of the composition. It will change the debate. So if we understand this, if we put our money, our vote, where our issues are, and we know how to flex our muscle when it comes to elections. I mean, remember, this country is not only about national elections. Even the president is not elected by the people, and everyone understands what the electoral college process is. But you know, this country is about local offices. We say all politics is local. This country is about districts. If we all understand this, you know, just look at certain districts here in this country. We have influence if we want to effect change. We have influence. If we hold our representatives responsible when it comes to their vote and stance on the issues that we really care about. And as I said before, not in relation to foreign issues, but also to local issues, where my congressman or congresswoman stand on the issue of health reform, you know, healthcare. I want to know where do they stand, because it affects my life. Tax reform, it affects my life. If we understand these things and we know how to be engaged and how to be effective, and if we truly believe that we can be effective because we can, I promise you, things in this country will change. And no one will be in a position to question our loyalty or our citizenship in this country, because there are still those who are trying to question this. But we are the only people who can defeat them. Don't expect this to come from someone else. Assalamu alaikum.